I'm gonna butcher some of these names. Hey guys, Melinda here. Welcome back to my movie and TV reviews. This week I am going to be talking about the movie Last Night in Soho. For those of you who haven't seen any of my other movie or TV reviews, I like to review it in a way that gives no spoilers, so that way anybody can click onto this video, hear my thoughts, my comments, my ideas, get an idea if they want to go watch it, and yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right into discussing Last Night in Soho. So I was initially intrigued by this movie. I saw a trailer for it, and remembering that it looked kind of something up my alley, I knew it was more on the thriller side of stuff, but I cannot tell you when I saw that trailer, so I basically went a little blind into this movie. I just remember, one, I saw the trailer and thought it was interesting, and then a bunch of other people said that it looked like a Melinda movie and that I would thoroughly enjoy it. So with those two things in the back of my mind, I decided, you know what, let's go ahead and do it. It's streaming on HBO Max right now, so that's where I was able to go watch it if you guys are interested. It's very, very new. It got released like fall of last year, I think, so it's still pretty new. I have to say I am a little impressed and almost shocked by some of the big names that were in this movie. I had no idea some of these people were even in it. So, just to name who to expect in this, I'm gonna butcher some of these names. Sorry if I say any of these names wrong. I personally didn't recognize the lead actress, but it was played by Thomasin McKenzie. I am so sorry if I said that wrong. She was great, by the way. She did a phenomenal job. But anyway, we have Anya Taylor-Joy, Matt Smith, Diana Rigg, Sam Claflin, and Terrence Stamp. So there are many, many more characters, but I personally didn't recognize them. Doesn't mean that you guys won't. But I mean, some of those people are amazing. I mean, Anya Taylor-Joy, she's killing it right now. She's been in a ton of stuff. Sam Claflin, Hunger Games, among other things as well. Terrence Stamp, who is like a villain in a bunch of stuff too. So I was a little shocked. Really, the only people I knew going into this was going to be Anya Taylor-Joy and Matt Smith, and then everybody else was like a really nice surprise. So I was so happy about that. So among this star-studded cast, let's go over some reviews, shall we? So it is rated a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb, 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, 4.2 out of 5 on Vudu, not exactly sure what that is, and 80% of Google users like this movie. So I would say overall it's above average. It's like a B. If I had to really average this out, it's probably like a C+, B-, but I really liked it. I thought it was really well done. I do have some issues with it, which we'll get into here in a little bit, but overall, I thought the story was incredible. The reasons why I love watching thrillers is because they tend to mind bend and really get you thinking about stuff, and they did such a great job with this. Just a brief summary of what this movie is about is that we're following this girl, Ellie. She is following her dream to go to fashion school, to become a fashion designer in the big city, London. She's from like some minor city on the outskirts, but this is like her dream. We also learn that Miss Ellie has some sort of psychic abilities. She is able to see the dead, see memories from the past, kind of. Guess I'm a little unclear exactly what she's capable of, but so she moves to London. She moves into this old house with this old lady, and she finds herself every night that she goes to sleep, she wakes up and she is reliving with a character, another person from the 1960s. And we know that it's real because in the dream, she's following Sandy, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and Matt Smith, following their kind of story of Sandy wants to become like a big performer. So Ellie is following Sandy through this journey. Sandy has a thing with Jack, and I'll spare you the details. Basically, relations happen and Sandy gets a hickey on her neck. And so Ellie wakes up and she has the exact same hickey on her neck. And she clearly has not been involved with anybody in real life. So that's how you know that there's some weird psychic thing going on with Ellie, that she is able to teleport back into the 1960s and kind of relive the story of Sandy. And so that's what the whole movie is about, is that that she like becomes obsessed with Sandy. She's so excited to go to sleep at night because she knows she's gonna wake up and follow along Sandy's journey in becoming a big performer. And then of course with that comes some drama, and yeah, I won't say anything further because then it really does go into spoilers, but that's basically the main premise. And it does take a very unexpected twist. It becomes very, very intriguing, very spooky. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna quit rambling and dive into some specifics. So the very first thing that I wrote is that beautiful cinematography in this whole movie. I was so impressed with everything. When Ellie goes back to the 1960s and is following Sandy, they have this elegant mirror work that you see on one side Sandy and Jack are communicating, but then in the mirror it's Ellie and Jack, and they just did all of those sequences, those scenes so beautifully. And there are a ton of transitioning shots that flash between Sandy and Ellie as well. So just as an example, there is a scene when Sandy and Jack are dancing together. It seems like it's all done in one take. I'm not 100% sure, but basically the camera is spinning around the characters as they're dancing, and then Sandy would dip out of screen and then in comes Ellie. Again, this is just an example. This happens a lot throughout the film. That transition work was just beautiful and executed phenomenally. I was obsessed with it and in love with it. The idea of Ellie having like this some sort of supernatural psychic ability that she is able to teleport back in the 1960s, I thought was a very interesting idea and concept, but I'm a little confused again on her capabilities. So at the beginning we learn that she basically can just see the dead, she can see ghosts, she can see people from her past. As an example, her mom died, so she sees her mom all the time. So that's fine because that's very medium-esque, and that, in my opinion, that does exist in the world. I do believe in that stuff. So that all seems very real to me. The thing that got me was that she was able to just fall asleep and then teleport into somebody else's life and story. That seems a bit far-fetched, and again, I am very big on the how and the why when it comes to stories. So I'm a little disappointed that I don't get that explanation, but again, it was a very interesting concept, and I thought they did it very well. I really do like how the story takes a very dark and unexpected twist and turn throughout. Like, it's not just like the ending, like midway it takes that turn, and again, very unexpected. I wasn't sure where the story was gonna go, which is good because when you go into a movie blindly, you want to be surprised. You don't want to be able to predict what happens, and let me tell you, I wasn't able to do that. So I thought, again, it just was so smooth. It ran so well. It was executed beautifully. About halfway through the film, Ellie is having like a mental breakdown and just kind of has like a physical transformation to help cope with whatever she's dealing with. I have to say, I get it, but like, I wish they would have done something else, gone a different route. Not sure how, but she ended up looking like the chick from The Pretty Reckless, which I didn't like, because that's all I could see. I was so distracted by it that I wasn't really paying attention to the story. So yeah, that's something that I personally didn't like. So yes, I wrote that this film is very creepy and it's very eerie, has just the right amount of spook. It was all perfectly timed and paced, and that, in my opinion, is what differs between a really good thriller and a tacky horror film. There were some actual scares and sequences that could make this film considered a horror, but it was just sprinkled enough in the perfect places that keeps it still as a thriller, which is one of my favorite genres of film. We do learn that maybe a little more than halfway into the film that everything that Ellie's been dealing with has only happened over the course of a few weeks. I feel like that timing is not accurate. That pacing just doesn't seem real to me. I feel like everything that we see over the course of the movie should be taking place over a couple of months. So I guess I'm not a fan of the pacing and the timing that they have going on. Wish they would have extended it, expanded it, instead of trying to make it seem like this was all crammed over the course of a few weeks. Just doesn't feel right. So the ending of the film was very dramatic, almost over dramatic. They had this interesting sequence of events that involved a lot of CGI, and like, I could understand where where they're coming from and where they wanted to go, but I don't think that we got there. To me, the CGI just looked horrible. It really took me out of what was happening, which is disappointing because this is the ending. Like, it's supposed to be the pivotal moment of keep you on the edge of your seat and oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next? And did not have that whatsoever. Almost would have preferred that they didn't have CGI involved and that it was still in the real world, because then it would also add to the element of spook and scare, and I personally think would have made the scene and the ending so much better. I do like all of the plot twists that do happen at the end though. I did not see any of it coming, which is amazing. I love when films do that. They sprinkle enough throughout the film that your brain clicks it all together at the end and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I not know that all along? But enough that you could not predict what was gonna happen. So I give huge kudos to the film for that and was impressed with it 100%. So yes, Road Again, very well executed story. It was very interesting, the perfect amount of scary and suspenseful to just make it amazing, incredible. When they have the flashbacks to the 1960s and anything involving that, I thought they did so amazing with that. The set design, the costumes, the acting, holy crap. I gotta tell you, Anya Taylor-Joy and Matt Smith were so good in this film. I was very impressed with how they were able to create their characters, latch onto the 1960s feel and vibe, and just, oh, good performance. Amazing performance. I thought Thomasin McKenzie overall did a great job at playing Ellie. I was very impressed at the very beginning of the film that she played weird, abnormal, psychic, somewhat normal, like all of these things. She played it so well and I was very fascinated by the character. I will admit that I feel like she might have overacted in the end and could add to the over dramatization that happened. I don't know, it felt forced. It didn't feel right. Like I was vibing, I had a groove with her at the beginning, and then towards the end I'm like, oh my gosh, just shut up, you're so annoying. And I don't want to feel that for characters. I don't want to feel that for actors. So I don't know if it was a directing thing, if it was an acting thing, but I just did not like how her character was portrayed at the end of the film. I wasn't a huge fan of the ending as well. Can't go into details because spoilers, obviously, but it just didn't sit right with me. It didn't feel realistic given everything that we've seen up until this point, everything that we've gotten to know about the characters. So the ending just didn't feel right. It didn't sit with me. It felt unnatural. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like any of it. Also, it ends in a very pretty, tight little bow of a perfect ending for everybody, blah, 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 blah. And on one note, very happy that they did get the happy ending, but on a bad note, you know, it's okay to let something not go their way, something not go right. So almost wish that we would have had some sadness at the end, because not everybody gets a perfect happy ending, and especially in thrillers and horrors. So yeah, just wish we would have gotten something along those lines. Other than that, that was pretty much everything that I wrote about, I wanted to discuss. Again, there are a lot of like personal details that I would love to discuss, but for the sake of this video, I don't want to give spoilers and I don't want to go into detail. But if you guys have anything you want to discuss, if you want to hear my extra thoughts of specifics about this film, leave it down in the comments down below. I would love to have a discussion with you guys about this film and just talk about it. So yeah, other than that, that is pretty much everything for this video, and that is everything for my review of Last Night in Soho. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you all for the support. If you like this video, go ahead, give it a big thumbs up. It would absolutely mean the world to me, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not already and you want to see more content. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Live life, always laugh, and enjoy the journey. Bye. In the big city of London, I don't know why I said that like that.